Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am continuing my reading for the American Cancer Society Read-A-Thon. The book is The Eyes and the Impossible. This is for day 10, and we will be reading chapter 17 today. Look at this gorgeous illustration here. The painting, the dog running through the woods in the fall. It doesn't say what season we're in the park, but I guess it doesn't really matter. But I like that it's been carrying us through the different seasons. So let's see what happens next. Chapter 17. They say I slept for weeks. It seemed like years, centuries. I slept through days. I woke up in sunlight and woke up in the moonlight and always spiraled back to sleep. My bones were tired. My muscles were tired. My skin, my fur, my eyes. I was tired of seeing, tired of doing. I dreamed and dreamed, but my dreams had no interpreter. And finally, one gray day, I woke, walked outside, and saw them all. Bertrand, Yolanda, Sonia, they were all standing outside my lair, as if waiting. We've been waiting, Sonia said. A while now, since sunup, said Yolanda. This meant a great deal, she implied. I didn't know what I was supposed to say. What do you want me to say? I said. You slept enough, Bertrand said. No one needs that much sleep, Sonia said. The point is, we care about you, Bertrand said. The bison care about you and would like to see you. We'd all like to see you up and about and running and seeing. Even the ducks, said Yolanda. Of all the people who didn't love or trust the ducks, Yolanda was probably the most duck unloving and duck untrusting, so hearing her say this hit me hard. She cared about the ducks wanting to see me. It messed with my mind. The bison want you out there, Bertrand said. We've been picking up the slack, but not so well. They have been a bit snippy about it, to tell you the truth, Sonia said. They have so many questions, and even with all of us helping, we miss things. I began to feel better. Better because they had failed at the thing which I excelled. I was ashamed at my pride. Just then the sun broke through the cloud cover and shone on me, warming me, loving my face, and I loved the sun back. I love you too, I said to the sun, because her love was so obvious and real. But everyone knows what you look like, Yolanda said. There are photos everywhere of you, Sonia said. Wild dog, they say, Yolanda said. Photos and little posters and even diagrams, Bertrand added. So you can't go out like yourself. I didn't understand. Maybe I'd been sleeping too long. I couldn't go out like myself. If you go out as yourself, they will know you are the hero dog, who is also a wild dog, and you will be leashed again, Yolanda said. And caged and kept, Sonia added, and probably sent away, Bertrand said softly. The sun had made me calm. The sun had made me wise. The sun had made me understand instantly the truth of what they said. I could not be seen in the park the way I had previously been seen. So we got this for you, Yolanda said. With her beak, she presented me a lump of bright pink. I had seen it, this lump, next to her this whole time. Now all of them were suggesting this pile of pink was somehow meant for me. What is it? I asked. I suddenly felt suffocated and surrounded. This pile of pink was an affront, a smothering thing. I thought of bolting. It's a disguise, Yolanda said. With her beak, she turned the pink pile into something recognizable, a sort of garment. It was tubular and made of wool, with 5 gaps, one on the top left, one on the top right, one at the end, and 2 at the bottom. It finally dawned on me that this was something I was supposed to wear. They saw the horror on my face. It's ridiculous, I know, Bertrand said. Obviously, it's terrible, but that's the point. This is what kept dogs wear, what pets wear. You will look like a silly pet of some silly human, dressed in pink and wearing a collar. Sonia, Sonia now produced something far more offensive than the pink garment. It was a collar studded with bright plastic diamonds, meant to be worn around the neck. It was an attack on all that was good and right. I can't wear that, I said. That or the pink tube. No. Then just stay in your hollow, Sonia spat. Just stay and sleep and never come out again. I'd never seen Sonia so agitated. Why do we care if you never come out again? We don't care. No one cares. And she turned and ran off. Bertrand turned to the rest of the assistants. Can you excuse us a moment? He asked in that exhausted but wise way of his. The assistants all flew and scurried off, settling about 50 feet away. When they were out of earshot, Bertrand turned back to me. We are concerned about you, he said. Thank you, I said evenly. I ask you to trust our collective wisdom, he said. We have thought this through a great deal, and we have come to a series of related conclusions. Can I enumerate them? I sighed, looked down, looked up to the sun. I breathed in, I breathed out. I did not like it when Bertrand took it upon himself to enumerate things. It tightened every bolt of my being. I took a deep breath. Sure, I said. First, he said, you need to leave your hollow and be a part of the world again. Second, you cannot leave your hollow looking like yourself. That is self-evident. Third, as you know, we have begun planning a way to get you into the museum to see the 100 of rectangles that will no doubt please you greatly. The third item did get my attention, and Bertrand noticed. I smiled, picturing myself among the pictures inside that building. But then he looked at me with something like mischief, something like pity. Lastly, he said, we have devised a brilliant disguise. We, your friends. Because Bertrand is very smart, he knew he needed to dwell on this point, this mention of my friends who cared about me. If they all had gotten together and thought collectively about my well-being, about what would be best for me, how could I flout it? What monster would turn up his snout at the thought through help of all the friends he had? Okay, I said. Okay, what? He asked. Okay, I'll try on the getup, I said. My plan was to put it on, deem it ridiculous, and convince everyone else that it was ridiculous too. So Bertrand tossed me the pink garment and the sparkly collar, and I ducked my head into the sweater, and instantly I was stuck. The opening at the neck was too narrow, and I was helpless inside, in the dark of the doggy sweater. Help? I asked from the darkness. Bertrand and Yolanda tried to help, but their beaks were imperfect tools for the job. They were pulling the wool sweater apart. They stop, I said. If the sweater was a mess, the effect would be lost. A dog sweater, as demented and unnatural a thing it was, must be pristine. We needed opposable thumbs. We need Angus, I said. He's sleeping, Yolanda said. Well, wake him, I said a bit too harshly. I realized how desperate I was to run again. He'll understand. When Angus arrived, he was not happy. A nocturnal creature, he was halfway through his rest. I could not see him, given that I was still stuck in the sweater, but I could hear his weariness in his voice. The thing is, he said, everyone's always got an emergency requiring opposable thumbs, and no one thinks it can wait until nighttime. But you know what? It can wait. It can always wait. Now, what is all this? What's that funny lump? That's Johannes, Yolanda said. Why is he wearing a doggy sweater? They explained it to him, and I tried to help explain, but Angus couldn't really understand me from all that wool. It's important to note that while Angus and all the other raccoons acted annoyed to be woken up and asked for help, they took great pride in their dexterity and cunning. They liked showing off their opposable thumbs and liked to complete any such mission in as little time as possible, as if to show how easy it was to do things that for the rest of us were impossible. I'll get your paws through first, Angus said, and help me disentangle my claws. He pulled one paw through and then another. The head part is funny, he said. It's so thin, and your head is so big, he said, laughing. I wonder what kind of dog used to wear this. He must have had a tiny noggin. Can we get on with it? I asked. Did you say something? He asked. I can't understand you under all that sweater. The opening for my head was indeed very small. Angus had to pull it on from various sides, widening the gap. Try pushing through now, he said, and I tried. I made no progress. You must have some pit bull in you, he said. Only pit bulls have such large heads. Angus had Yolanda grab one side of the sweater, and Bertrand grabbed the other side, and Angus pulled himself, and we heard a tiny ripping sound. Oh, no, Yolanda said. Don't worry, we're just stretching it, Angus said. They continued stretching until Angus was satisfied. Try again now, he said, and I pushed, and with my snout I could finally feel the cool air outside. I pushed, and Angus continued to make adjustments, squeezing out one ear and then the other, until I could see again, and soon my whole head was through. You're in the world again, Bertrand said and laughed. But didn't you have a tail before? Angus scrambled to the back and pulled my tail through the horrifying little hole meant for tails. That's better, he said. It was not better. The sweater was a wretched thing. It scratched me everywhere, like I was enclosed in a thicket of dried weeds. And though I could see, this was not a plus, for now I knew that about 15 birds and animals were gathered around me. Where had they come from? And many of them were fighting back their laughter. When Angus put the collar on, they barely held. Laughter escaped in tiny squeaks and sighs. Very dignified, Yolanda said, covering her mouth with her great gray wing. This sweater was a terrible thing for me. I felt very bad, very ashamed, very much like I wanted to be deep in my hollow, alone and in the dark. But then Bertrand did the kind of thing he was known for doing, a wise, rational, convincing, and impossible to debate thing. He brought over a piece of glass. The animals of the park had grown accustomed to glass. We saw it on the buildings and cars and the windows of the homes that bordered the park. We knew we could see ourselves in the glass, and so our reflections were not foreign to us. We knew what we looked like. For instance, I knew before this day that I was a breathtaking paragon of muscle and speed. And now, when Bertrand brought the piece of glass before me, he planned it. He planned it. I knew I was a ridiculous clown dog clad in pink and fake diamonds. It will work, Bertrand said. Oh dear. I have a feeling that sweater was probably meant for a different sized dog. Maybe not a Chihuahua, but maybe like a Schnauzer or a Terrier or something. Definitely not meant for a big dog like Johannes. Poor guy. That can't have been comfortable. Oh well. Good chapter though. I did enjoy it. So tune in next time. Remember to donate to the American Cancer Society. Roma, Riva, and Krishna. Auntie Heather loves you very much. Auntie Heather loves the rest of you too. Take care, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.